Okay. Well, hopefully we can figure out the communication issues, but just in case Pam's about to start, you've heard the disclaimer. I won't say that again. And
Good morning, everyone. I'm hoping you can hear me. That's because for some technical difficulty, I'm not hearing you. So this is Pam Schellenberger with the York County Planning Commission, and I'm going to be presenting on our regional pollutant reduction plan today, which we refer to as building partnerships to improve York County's waters and meet MS4 requirements. Just to begin with, I'm going to give you a brief overview of York County. We consist of 72 municipalities, 47 of which are designated as an MS4. Our estimated population in 2019 was approximately 449,000 people, and approximately 35% of York County's land is developed, and about 700 miles of our streams are impaired. This is just a map showing our existing land use in York County, so you can see where we do have those developed lands. For the most part, our growth is concentrated around the city of York, which we refer to as the greater York area, and then growth extends outward along the US Route 30 corridor, which runs east and west, and the I-83 corridor, which runs north and south. There's also some development concentrated along the US Route 15 corridor in the northwest part of the county and in the southwest part of the county in and around the borough of Hanover. This map shows our impaired streams, and the orange streams on the map are impaired for sediment. The green ones are impaired for nutrients. The brown ones are a combination of nutrients and sediment, and the purple are pathogens. You'll see an area in the southeast part of the county, and then a little bit there in the north central part where it says areas under assessment. So we anticipate that our miles of impaired streams will increase as those assessments are completed. So now getting to our regional Chesapeake Bay pollutant reduction plan. When we began this process, it wasn't limited to MS4 municipalities. We invited all 72 municipalities to participate in the development of the plan. And one of our carrots was that there was no cost to participate in plan development, and there would be no commitment on behalf of the participants until the plan was completed. The effort was led by the staff of the York County Planning Commission, and the county is a participant in the Army Corps Section 22 program assistance to states. So through that program, they assigned us a technical assistance consultant who helped us with the development of the plan. And we also had a regional Chesapeake Bay pollutant reduction plan for the 2013 through 2017 MS4 permit cycle. So we had a little bit of a head start on developing the current plan. Our steering committee for development of the plan, we had 52 participants, and those participants were the decision makers. They selected the projects to include in the plan, and they made the choices regarding how to fund the plan. Of that 52 participants, 47 were MS4s, and then 5 were non-MS4 municipalities. Among those 47 MS4s was York County, York City, 21 townships, and 24 boroughs. We had a number of other partners that participated during development of the plan, and key to that was, of course, Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. A representative attended every one of our steering committee meetings. Likewise, we had a representative at PennDOT participating in the meetings. Another key partner was the U.S. Defense Distribution Center, Susquehanna, located in Fairview Township. Although they didn't participate in our steering committee meetings, they did meet with us periodically and shared with us what they were doing as part of their MS4 pollutant reduction plan. The municipal engineers participated, a variety of environmental consultants, and we also had interest of the Chesapeake Bay Foundation and the Chesapeake Conservancy. So once the plan was completed, that's when municipalities had to make their decision. While the plan was out for public review and comment, municipalities had to decide whether they wanted to opt in or opt out to implement the plan, because submission of the PRP to DEP required that the intergovernmental cooperation agreement be included in that submission. So our final participants included 46 municipalities. 27 were permittees. 16 of those municipalities had requested an advanced waiver approval from DEP, which they subsequently received. And then we had 3 non-MS4 municipalities that opted in to implement the plan. In our original submission in 2017, the entire York County urbanized area was the planning area, together with the area that drained to the urbanized area. Just wanted to mention that in our 2017 submission to DEP, the main comment we received back from DEP was that they did not accept our original methodology used for determining the sediment base load. In that original submission, through discussions with DEP and their participation in our steering committee meetings, we had been allowed to use the county land use numbers for pervious and impervious. And that resulted in a reduction of only needing to reduce 2.5 million pounds of sediment over the permit cycle. But Penn Futures commented on that to DEP as far as the justification for using that. And it ultimately, DEP could not find any documentation to substantiate those county numbers or where those numbers came from. So we had to go back and redo our pollutant reduction plan and use the simplified method and the loading numbers for each of the participating MS4 municipalities to calculate our base load. So the information I'm going to present to you on the following slides relates to our pollutant reduction plan that was approved by DEP in December of 2020. And the participating MS4s were issued their permits also in December of 2020. So that kicked off the counting of our clock for meeting the plan and our pollutant loading reduction goals. So our 5 years is from December of 2020. So using the municipalities that are participating, the MS4s, our sediment loading was a little over 75 million pounds. And because of that substantially higher number, we decided to consider doing some parsing, which was highly encouraged by DEP to get our number down a bit. So after many discussions, we decided to parse out the non-participating MS4 municipalities and the MS4 municipalities that received the waiver. If we had a project in one of those municipalities with a waiver, we did retain the drainage area for that project in our planning area. So with that parsing reduction, it dropped us down to 67 million pounds. And then also because of the smaller planning area, our drainage area to that area likewise became smaller, which reduced it further. So our final baseline sediment loading was almost 66 million pounds. And the second table that you see on the slide just shows that breakout by pervious and impervious land cover, and then the land draining to it to show how that number was likewise calculated at the approximately 66 million pounds. So our planning is based on our county's 4 primary watersheds. Instead of using the HUC 12 watersheds or the smaller impaired watersheds, we negotiated. Can you still see my slides? It changed on my screen. Where's my slides?
Yeah,
see the map.
Okay.
We see the map.
I'm hoping you can see it. My screen disappeared for a minute.
Can you hear us, Pam? I guess not. Pam, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Excellent.
Are we good?
All right.
So I'll continue. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, we were still able to see the map, I think.
You're gonna have to share it.
So,
You're
yeah,
gonna have to reshare, Pam, because your screen's not showing anymore. You just have to reshare it.
I just did that, so you're not seeing it again?
No, I don't see it.
Because I saw it went off for some reason.
Yeah, I think we were still able to see it.
Okay, let me try again. Can you see it now?
Yep.
Yes, you're back.
Okay, I don't know what happened there. So I'll go back up a little bit. We negotiated with DEP to do our PRP planning based on our county's 4 primary watersheds. And these are the watersheds that were identified in our integrated water resources plan, and likewise our Act 167 stormwater management plan, which is a component of our integrated water resources plan. So when we're looking at locations of projects, it is going to be based on these 4 watersheds: the Yellow Breeches, Conawago Creek, Cadorus Creek, and the Kreitz Muddy Creek. Our goal was to make sure that when we were planning our projects to implement and reach our goal, that we would have projects in each of these watersheds. This shows how our pollutant loading is divided among those 4 watersheds, with the Cadorus as our largest watershed with 43% of the loading, followed by the Conawago Creek, Yellow Breeches, and the Kreitz. So looking at our adjusted sediment baseline loading, like I said previously, our baseline was approximately 66 million pounds. And then we worked with the municipalities to submit information to us on Bmps that they had previously implemented and that they were doing the monitoring of, and making sure that those Bmps were still working as they were originally designed. This was a very labor-intensive project for municipalities, because most of them did not have any database in place, so they had to go back through a lot of plans to try to calculate and gather the information that DEP required in order to be able to reduce your baseline. It's unfortunate that DEP assumed that when you started out that there were no BMPs on the ground and put that burden on municipalities to come up with that number. So all in all, we were able to reduce that by about £1 million, which brought our adjusted baseline down to £64 million. And so looking at that and the required 10% reduction, our reduction is £6.5 million to reduce over the 5-year period, which is significantly higher than our original £2.5 million. So this is the array of projects that we have in our plan. Stream restoration being our top project, followed by basin retrofits and bioretention projects. We have approximately 19 miles of stream restoration projects in our plan. You'll see that our projects, as far as sediment reduction, far exceeds that £6.5 million. So we have a lot of options to choose from as which projects we want to implement. This map just shows where the projects are located throughout the county. The purple lines on the map, which might be a little bit hard to see, are the watershed boundaries. So you'll see that we do have some projects in each of the 4 watersheds. There are also a handful of projects that are located outside our planning area, and some of those projects are being implemented and have been approved by DEP. So the contingency on DEP's part was that it was okay to keep those in our plan, but each one would have to be approved on a case-by-case basis. This diagram shows how our proposed projects are divided among the 4 primary watersheds, with the majority of the projects, of course, being located in the Cadorus Creek watershed, which is our largest watershed. So we do have 32 projects in that watershed, and the Conewago and Muddy Creek watersheds, there's 15 projects in each of those. And then Yellow Breeches Creek, there's 6 projects. And they vary in terms of the amount of sediment reduction from those projects. So now I'll talk a little bit about our funding mechanisms to implement the plan. The primary one being the York County Stormwater Consortium, which is what we refer to as the municipalities that entered into the Intergovernmental Cooperation Agreement. Through the consortium, we're collecting about $12.3 million for implementation of the plan. We're also working hard to get grants to implement the plan. We've been successful at getting Growing Greener grants, NIFWIP grants, funding from DCNR for projects related to buffers and tree plantings. And additionally, the York County Community Foundation set up a grant program to provide funding for design and permitting of projects within the Cadorus watershed. And then also our countywide action plan for clean waters, which is part of the Pennsylvania DEP Phase 3 WIP. York County was one of the pilot counties. So as a result, we're receiving funding from DEP to implement our countywide action plan, or CAP, and some of that funding has been used to construct projects that are also within our pollutant reduction plan. We've also been successful at getting some public and private donations. Municipalities provide in-kind services to help implement projects through their public works staff and equipment. And then through our partnerships with PennDOT and the Defense Distribution Center, they don't provide us funding, but we do get projects at no cost to the consortium for implementation. This is just a general look at what of our intergovernmental cooperation agreement and how it's governed. There's a regional committee, a management committee, and then the York County Planning Commission serves as administrator. For the regional committee, all the participating municipalities have a primary representative and an alternate, and they meet quarterly. The management committee is elected by the regional committee, and it consists of 7 of the primary members. They serve a 1-year term, but there's no limit on the number of terms they can serve. They meet monthly and handle all the regular activities of the consortium. And then, as I said, the YCPC is the administrator. We coordinate the meetings, prepare the minutes, prepare all the financial report, process the payments to people that are implementing projects. And then, of course, we invoice the municipalities annually for their fee. With regard to implementation, we've completed 14 projects to date, and the total cost of those projects was approximately $5 million. However, less than $1 million of consortium money has been put toward those projects, which demonstrates the success we've had at getting grant funding for projects. We also have 8 that are under construction and 5 that are in the design permitting phase. We also have a performance-based contract that we've entered into with Aquatic Resource Restoration Company to reduce 4 million pounds of sediment at a cost of $2.14 a pound. So that contract is about $8.5 million. And it's underway, and they have 1 project completed so far and another project that'll be completed by the end of May. So they have 1 or 2 more projects to go before that 4 million pounds of sediment will be met. But that has been much help in meeting our targeted goal. Our current gap is about 900,000 pounds of sediment, but we don't anticipate that we will meet that gap through the Defense Distribution Center projects, anticipated additional sediment reduction through projects that are in post-construction stormwater management. DEP has indicated that some of those projects could increase their sediment reduction by 10 to 15% following that post-construction and demonstration that those projects are stabilized. And we're also have projects in the queue that are gearing up to begin design later this year. It's just going to show you just a couple projects that we have. This is the stream and swale restoration project in Windsor Borough. This is the Queenswood York Township stream to be restored. Design is expected to be completed on that project in May, then go to construction once they have all their permits in hand. The slide picture on the right-hand side is the Mill Creek restoration in York Township. So just give you an idea what they're hoping to achieve through the restoration of the Queenswood project. This is a basin retrofit at the county prison, and you'll be seeing more of that project, or if you're interested, learn about that project at one of the sessions later today. This is also at the county prison, a swale retrofit project that'll be part of that presentation as well. Just some of the benefits of doing a regional pollutant reduction plan on part of York County. It was no cost to the municipalities for plan development. The intent was that municipalities could instead put their money toward implementation rather than the planning phase. Participation by DEP throughout the plan was very beneficial. Having them at our steering committee meetings, they could provide input and also, answer questions from the municipalities right there on the spot, which was very helpful. It's also cost efficient than doing a plan on your own. Some of the participating municipalities, particularly the larger ones, have indicated that they feel it is saving them 3 to 4 times as compared to what they would have done by preparing their own plan and implementing it on their own. Also, the municipalities get credit for pollutant reduction regardless of where the project was located in the planning area. Some of the smaller municipalities did not really have any good sites for implementing BMPs. So, you know, not every municipality that's a participant has a project in our plan. And the idea of being able to locate the projects throughout 4 primary watersheds rather than each of the smaller impaired watersheds. And we're also now able to implement the projects that are most cost effective, getting the most reductions for the least amount of cost, so we can focus on those projects. But we have done some smaller projects that weren't, you know, what we consider the most cost effective, but they were key projects for that particular municipality. And then we've also feel we've gotten priority for grant funding by being a multi-municipal effort. And then the partnership of the non-municipal MS4s, such as PennDOT and the Susquehanna Distribution Center, has been a benefit as well because we did not parse them out of our plan. And lessons learned, we feel it's important to approach DEP with specific requests and justify why we want those things. That was especially important in our first PRP because the first instructions did not have an opportunity or provide for a regional plan. So we were the first to approach DEP on doing a regional plan. And we've also found that in those discussions, you know, when you're in meetings and verbal discussions, it's really important to document, take meeting notes and share them back with DEP to assure that we're all on the same page of what we heard. And we've found that especially to be true and with regard to our sediment reductions. And then also, it's important for the municipalities that are participating to understand their role. We've had a couple issues where the municipalities have appointed their representatives, but those representatives aren't in turn keeping the governing body informed. So we have to keep stressing that. And as a result of that, we now do twice a year, we do a little newsletter or update to the governing bodies just to make sure they're aware of the progress we're making since they're contributing funding to this process. Another important lesson was that the York County Stormwater Consortium funds are municipal monies. So therefore, the municipal procurement process has to be followed. And that's impacted some of the projects submitted by like a private environmental consulting firm because they want to do those projects and they don't want that project have to be put out to bid because they could potentially not be the low bidder on that. And then public-private partnerships are, of course, very important and they help to reduce your financial burden. And then some of the MS4 municipalities are struggling to meet their annual fees to join the consortium, to continue being part of the consortium. So some of those have looked at implementing a stormwater fee, and some have implemented a fee. And also, the York County Planning Commission looked at implementing a countywide stormwater authority. And we followed through with a feasibility study and an implementation plan for that, but that continues to be pending. It was finalized at a time when our County Board of Commissioners was changing, and it was not, and we had a lot of flack and not interest, especially from the agricultural community. So the timing wasn't right, but we feel it's a really good plan that at some point we feel there may be more demand for it because the municipalities that adopted a fee on their own, their fees are much higher than what the fees would have been through a countywide authority. So it may be resurrected at some point in time, but for the meantime, the county commissioners are implementing some other recommendations out of the implementation plan. So that concludes my presentation. Does anyone have any questions?
All right, thank you, Pam. That was excellent. We did get one, so I think you had a slide up a little bit ago where you mentioned 12.3 million being part of one of the investments, and so the question is that a total value or an annual investment?
That's the total value.
Okay.
Our fee schedule is based on miles of impaired streams, total population, and acres of impervious surface. So the annual fees vary from a little over $200,000 to $4,000. And then those municipalities that received a waiver or the non-MS4s, they pay an annual flat fee of $1,591. They were just have a nominal fee to keep them engaged, because we felt if the payment that they had to make was too high, they would opt out since it's not a requirement. But that base fee of $1,591 has kept them engaged.
Okay. The next question is, how much do you collect in annual fees? Estimate in total?
Approximately $4 million. And municipalities have the opportunity to pay it in full or to make 2 installments.
All right. The next question, how did the county pay for initial planning so that it was no cost to municipalities?
We just donated our staff time, and then we did have the technical assistance through the Army Corps Section 22 consultant. So between that donation of that time and our staff time, that covered it.
Okay, we do have a couple more minutes for questions. If there's any more questions for Pam. Go. Pam, can you elaborate on the public-private benefits? How did that get started?
So just school work.
Go ahead, Pam. Sorry for the background noise. I'll see if I can take care of that really quick.
The public-private partnerships?
Yes,
Is that the question?
That was the question. So the question was, can you elaborate on the public-private benefits, how the public-private partnerships got started?
The partnership with PennDOT arose out of a fine that PennDOT had to pay for a project issue in York County. And instead of paying the fine to EPA allowed PennDOT to use that funding to implement a project in York County. So they implemented a stream restoration project that resulted in us both getting MS4 credit for that particular project. We've also had a couple of occasions where a developer has not been able to meet their mitigation measures on site, and DEP has then directed them to us, and that developer has then paid the municipality to help implement that project, which they then got credit for the mitigation measures that they had to make, and we got the MS4 credit. We've also had TransSource, who is looking to build an electrical transmission line throughout York County, and they made a donation to the York County Stormwater Consortium to implement buffer projects. They made it specifically for buffer projects, and they want to be involved in the planting of the trees when those projects come about. So those are a few examples of the partnerships.
Okay, I think one more question here. It says there's a lot of investment in stream restoration. For each project, has the upstream flow been attenuated to ensure the stability of the restoration project?
Yes, we're usually trying to start in the headwaters and work our way down because, like you're saying there, you don't want to invest in the stream restoration project and have it be destroyed because of the upstream flow into it. So, yeah, we take that into consideration when those projects are being selected.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's just a hair over our time right now at 9:41. So, Pam, we appreciate the presentation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I apologize for the issues up front.
No problem. We worked it out. So, again, excellent presentation. Thank you. And we'll again leave this session and then log in. The next, it will be the designing and maintaining BMPs. We'll log into that 5-minute session. Here we'll hear from Liz Ottinger from the EPA, and then you'll have 3 sessions to choose from after that. So we'll see you all over at the designing and maintaining BMPs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pam. Thanks, Pam. Nice job.
You're welcome.